Alright, this is my first time doing this, so bear with me. I've been a college football fan for over 10 years now, and one of my favorite things about the sport was the polarization of it, just how much people were divided. Like, oh, my team deserves this or deserves that. Not many other sports really have that concept of deserving something. You either win or you don't. But more recently, with the expansion of the playoff to 12 teams, it has become so fucking annoying. Like, Jesus Christ, like, grow the fuck up. The first thing that I really want to talk about, because it really just gets on my nerves, is Alabama. Well, one, yeah, fuck Alabama, whatever. You either love them or you hate them. But the entire conversation with Alabama this season has been incredibly frustrating towards the end of the season. Losing to Florida State should have already disqualified them from the playoffs. I mean, sure, if they won out and won the SEC title game, then yeah. But they didn't do that. In fact, they lost to Oklahoma in a game where they honestly outplayed them, but they still shot the bed so fucking hard on the offense. And you know, whatever, they, for some reason, they were like, oh, we can't run the ball, so we're just gonna run up the fucking score against the FCS team in Eastern Illinois. It's like, oh, good job, guys. You guys ran for fucking 700 yards or whatever. And they beat Auburn, barely beat Auburn, by the way, 5-7 Auburn. They jumped over Notre Dame for beating an Auburn team who wasn't that even good, just because they wanted to make sure that they were gonna be in the playoffs. All right, whatever. In the title game, absolutely dog walked on by Georgia. You can just tell from the start of the game, Georgia meant business. They were not fucking around. And Alabama just could not handle it. They just got completely manhandled. And it reminded me a lot of Georgia a couple years ago. To be honest, looking back at that Georgia game earlier on in the season, I feel like Alabama just got off to a hot start and Georgia just could not recover from that. One of the main discourses I've seen after the game ending is that Alabama will still be in the playoffs because not that will set the precedent. It will make teams opt out of their conference title games. That is the most dumbest shit I've heard in my fucking life. First of all, if you want to have that logic of like you shouldn't be punished for losing, then you shouldn't be rewarded for winning either. Like, imagine if a team that was barely outside the bubble and they beat the second ranked team in the nation in the title game or in their conference title game. You're telling me that team doesn't deserve to be rewarded? And the same goes the other way. Sure, technically Alabama was in the top 10, so they were already in the bubble. But getting absolutely demolished like that by Georgia, like, sure, if they kept it close, whatever. But they got fucking shit on, dude. Like, their only touchdown they got was honestly rewarded by the referees because they wanted to make him look nicer, but it was not enough. Like, it's pretty obvious for any Alabama fan who's been watching this team all season long. They just do not have what it takes to compete against the best. And you want me to sit here and watch them play in the playoffs and get absolutely fucking shit on in the first round? Yeah, no, fuck you. They might win, but probably not. You guys can come back to this to make fun of me. At the moment I'm recording this, the final CFP rankings have not come out, so I will come back to you and let you know my reaction. But they should absolutely not be in the playoffs, and Miami and Notre Dame should absolutely overtake Alabama. And I know that's going to piss off a lot of SEC fans, but to be honest, SEC fans mean absolutely nothing to me. No disrespect to them as individuals, I just have a very difficult time engaging with their discourse. Alright, so yeah, I'm coming back to tell you my thoughts on the final CFP rankings. First of all, I'm not surprised how things turned out. I already understand how these people are. But secondly, what the fuck is the point of playing the games on the field if it seems like the results don't mean shit? Miami being above Notre Dame for majority of the season is the dumbest shit ever. Yeah, I understand it was in week 1, and honestly, I would give Notre Dame the edge if they played Miami today. But it doesn't matter anymore. And how the fuck is Alabama going to be left in still? Like, I generally don't understand what's the actual point of even playing games anymore. It clearly doesn't mean shit. Like, don't be going around saying, oh, conference games don't mean anything. Come on, guys, please don't fucking punish us. Don't be fucking good enough to make the conference game then, if you don't want to deal with the consequences of losing. What kind of fucking pussy mindset is that? Like, I understand we lost by like 50 million points, but we should not be punished whatsoever. Especially with that Killing the Boar interview after the game with saying like, oh, this game shouldn't count. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. And the entire committee should go fuck themselves. They don't care about the games. They don't care about the best teams. They just care about politics and keeping their best friends, alumni schools in the fucking playoffs. So dumb. Like, all you guys just need to go fuck yourself. What a dumb league. Stupid league that doesn't actually give a shit. They should honestly just switch to a format that includes every single conference champion and like 2 or 3 major bids. I know that would piss off people, but fuck, dude. At least there you can crown an actual champion and not just fucking put in teams that you think deserve to be in there. What the fuck? What a sick joke. What a sick joke. For the record, I'm not a Notre Dame fan, so frankly, I don't really care what happens to them. And look, I understand Notre Dame hate or whatever. I don't hate them. I actually kind of appreciate them, and I hope they never join a conference because it would be really awesome to see them win a title and just shut up all the haters. But are you expecting me to sit here and say that they actually have to win every single game from now on just to even consider making the playoffs? While a team like Alabama can fucking dick around for half the season and be like, it's okay, guys, we'll make the playoffs. And even if you get shit on in the title game, in the SEC title game, it doesn't matter because conference games don't mean anything. Because playing the games on the field don't mean anything anymore. We got Notre Dame being eliminated for a botched extra point against Texas A&M, basically. Well, Alabama can get destroyed by FSU, doing nothing against Oklahoma, which they're playing in the first round, by the way. We'll see how that goes. And get absolutely dogged on by Georgia, who's an actual team I think can win the title. So you're telling me that if they actually beat Oklahoma, they would have to play Indiana. Does anyone here actually think they could compete against Indiana? Be serious with me. Like, fuck off. Whatever. Who cares? Yeah, Notre Dame's schedule isn't the best, and I don't think it's as bad as everyone else makes it out to seem, but they would have done so much better, dude. Like, honestly, anyone who actually watches the game knows that. I guess some people don't want to hear the truth, but whatever. Texas. I mean, look, I guess everything is bigger in Texas, including how much they fucking complain. I don't know if you guys remember, but Texas was actually ranked #1 in the nation before the season started. And they went up against Ohio State. Yeah, they lost a pretty close game, I'm not gonna lie. Then their defense played very well, but offensively they just could not get anything going. And whatever, you lost to one of the best teams, the defending champions. As the season went on, it was pretty obvious that they just could not click offensively. Arch Manning going into the season was a Heisman favorite. Looking back, it's pretty clear it was all just SEC hype from the media. And he did, I won't lie, he did play better towards the end of the season, but it's too little too late, fucker. And then they lost to fucking Florida, man. That Florida game too is so bad. So bad. I don't care what any fucking SEC cuck fan tells me, like, oh, Florida would go 10-2 in the ACC or whatever slop. Who cares? Like, what kind of discourse is that? I won't lie, even after losing to Florida, I genuinely did believe this team was underperforming. I honestly thought they had a pretty good defense for most of the season, outside of the Mississippi State game. But for the most part, there was plenty of games where they showed that they can compete. The Ohio State game, for example, they beat Texas A&M, and they fucking shit on Oklahoma. But they just could not. Georgia is their kryptonite. They can't handle Georgia. They don't like Georgia. They can't handle Georgia down there in Austin. Blah, blah, blah. We all know how the season went. They ended up finishing 9-3, and they ended up beating, like I said, Texas A&M, undefeated Texas A&M on the final regular season game. And I knew when that happened, oh, this is going to start a bunch of discourse about them being in the playoffs. Just like Alabama, I don't think a 3-loss team should be in the playoffs. Unless you lost to the 3 best teams in the nation, and I don't really feel like there's many scenarios where they should be in the playoffs. Maybe, I don't know, 2017 Auburn, or like 2016 USC, but those are like very specific examples. And those teams like started off the season bad and they fucking won out. Oh, not Auburn. Auburn beat 2 #1 ranked teams in like 3 weeks. That's pretty impressive. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of jokes about people from Texas being dumb, but they're not helping themselves with some of the arguments they're making. A lot of the conversation I see from Texas fans is them saying, we're just gonna stop scheduling tough out of conference teams. Like, and then I saw this whole thing with SEC teams being like, oh yeah, we're just gonna schedule fucking slop all day. You're not being punished for losing to Ohio State. You're being punished for losing to Florida. You're being punished for having to go to overtime to beat Kentucky and Mississippi State. I love how they want to focus on the Ohio State game in particular because they're low-key strawmanning so hard right here. Yeah, let's not pretend like they lost to Florida. Let's just forget about that. And people are saying like, oh, if they were 10-2, they're absolutely in the playoffs. I mean, look at Vanderbilt. They were 10-2. They're nowhere near the playoffs. And well, to be honest, that's not a very good example since they did beat Vanderbilt, and in fact, this Texas team did beat 3 top 10 teams. So I honestly do think they would be in the playoffs. But just based on how they've been playing, it's pretty obvious that I don't think they would do much anyways. At the end of the day, you should just beat the opponents in front of you, and you don't have to sit here and complain to the media that you should be in the playoffs. I know that sounds really hard for some of you, but that's just the way it is. Get fucking over it. Let's not sit here and act like SEC fans are the only ones who are complaining and being crybabies. College football has always been about complaining. It's about whoever complains the most and gets rewarded with the Orange Bowl or whatever. It's about complaining and being rewarded with the BCS title or like some unclaimed title in 1927. I feel like this is a widespread phenomenon across the country, especially with the expansion of the playoffs. I feel like a lot of fan bases and programs have become incredibly spoiled. I mean, I wasn't around for it, but I did do a lot of my own research, and just seeing what the discourse was like around the BCS era, it was only 2 teams, and sometimes they didn't even pick the 2 best teams. There was a split national title in 97. And I believe there was also the 2004 season with Auburn going undefeated and not making the BCS title game. And they ended up winning the Sugar Bowl to go undefeated. And recently they claimed that title, which is kind of funny to me. So that's technically now a co-split. What a funny league. College football is so funny. Look, it wasn't perfect. There was a lot of bullshit going on back then. And there was a lot of elitism and favoritism going on back then. But back then you kind of just own up to it. Yeah. My team went 11-1 and we only lost 1 game, but you know what? Whatever. We'll go play in the Fiesta Bowl and try to beat whatever team we can. Nowadays, we have a team like Texas, mighty old Texas, a program who considers itself a blue blood. One of the greatest programs according to their fans and a lot of football historians. They're sitting here and complaining that they won't make the playoffs after losing 3 games. Like, come on. Look at yourself in the mirror for a second. Like, do you guys not find this embarrassing? Sure, the landscape made it very difficult to even be in the title game 30 years ago, but they just dealt with it, alright? Well, clearly, they only dealt with it for as long as they could, because enough was enough for them. And with the way the Discord has been going this year, it feels like the expansion to even more teams is not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And only because of programs like Texas just complaining about not being able to make the playoffs for not being even good, honestly. That's why they're complaining, because they want to be in the playoffs so they can lose, basically. Wow, what a shame. What a shame. The Southern Eastern Conference. It just means more. With Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference, I guess Texas took that to heart and started acting like a bunch of crybabies like all the other SEC fan bases. Did not take them longer than 1 year to start doing it. I've never seen a fan base who is so pathetic. Like, like the elitism is whatever. You'll see that with Premier League fans. But not to this extent. They are nowhere near as aggressive with how much they try to downplay all the other competition. Like, straight up, they genuinely just believe they're not just better, but flat out, unless they're like the Big Ten, man. There's plenty of SEC fans who think the Big Ten sucks, but they flat out just think if you're not the SEC, you should just not even be allowed to play football. That's just kind of how it feels like to me. I'm almost convinced that they just want to have a playoffs just for themselves so they can crown their own little champion. And they might as well, because they're always fucking jerking each other off. I've seen on Twitter a fan of some random SEC team go on a tweet and look at a schedule of another team in like the Big 12, for example, and say another team that they don't even support, and say they would go undefeated with that schedule. That is the most cuck behavior I've seen in my life. You would never see that from football fans. Like, imagine a Real Madrid fan being like, yeah, dude, Atletico would win Bundesliga. That just wouldn't happen. It just means more. Being a cuck. It just means more. Being fucking pathetic and crying because your team didn't make the playoffs for losing to Florida. It just means more to be fucking elitist as fuck. It just means more till taken till the 70s to have African Americans on your team. It just means more. What a bunch of losers. Yeah, I'm being incredibly rude to the SEC fan base as a whole. I'm sure some of them are nice and they have absolutely nothing to do with a lot of these people. But for the ones who are like this, you need to shut the fuck up. Like honestly, just shut the fuck up. You don't got anything interesting to say. Shut up. That's why you support a team in the South. I'm joking. I'm joking. Speaking of SEC fan base and their elitism and all this slop, there's a specific reason why they are the way they are, and that's because the media in particular allows for this type of dialect to be acceptable. It's pretty clear that ESPN just loves the SEC. It's pretty clear that the media just thinks the SEC is leagues above everyone else. The way they see things, sometimes it feels like it's the NFL, the SEC, and then the rest of the FBS division. And it's honestly kind of insane to me, especially with the time and time again, you can just look at the games and just be like, oh wow, the SEC team lost, or oh wow, Florida lost to UCF. Wow, okay, that's cool. Or even just last year, Tennessee got absolutely mollywopped by Ohio State. Or even Georgia got destroyed by Notre Dame. I'm like, okay, guess it just means more to lose. I was very skeptical with the committee turning to 12 teams for their expansion. I already thought 4 teams was more than enough. And they're like, alright, let's just turn it to 12 teams. I'm like, dude, what is this? This isn't March Madness. This is college football. There's a specific hierarchy to how college football works. I want to say like 99% of the time, there's only been at the most 4 teams, if you're lucky, who can actually compete for a title. And they're just like, yeah, let's just turn it up to 12 teams. And at first I was just thinking it was just for more money. I mean, I think it was. But the way the season has unfolded, it makes me think that they actually kind of did it just because they wanted to have more SEC teams. And I'm sure Big Ten teams as well. But the reason why I'm not as vocal with my disdain for Big Ten is just because they don't have the same cult feeling like the SEC does. Obviously, they just wanted to have more SEC teams. And the way the season has panned out, there's not going to be as many as they wish. And they're complaining and they're upset and they're crying. Texas is crying like a bunch of babies. And I'm just like, yeah, you know, it's the consequences of your own choices when you make your fucking league 18 teams or whatever. Half of the teams in the conference are like top 20 programs of all time historically. Obviously, it's going to be very difficult to have 10 teams in the playoffs when they're all beating each other up. I mean, anyone with eyes and ears would know that ESPN is absolutely destroying this sport. They're like the Fourth Reich. It's some of the most evil shit I've ever seen. Who cares about tradition? Who cares about all the amazing lore and history that this sport has? Let's just throw it out the window just so we can have a 12-team expansion and like these super mega conferences. Like, fuck every single one of you. Every single one of you in charge at the ESPN or the CFP committee or the people even running the NCAA for college football, all of you need to go fuck yourself. Like, honestly, just off yourself. You guys have absolutely zero care for the sport. It's so disgusting. Evil. It's evil, damn it. Imperialism or something. Something to do with capitalism or some shit. Yeah, and with ESPN becoming greedy as fuck, it has led to a lot of conferences that I want to call super conferences with the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't think a conference should have 20 teams. This isn't the 1930s. This ain't the fucking SoCon conference. Like, what the hell? I thought we got over this. Just a couple hours ago, Duke won the ACC championship game. 7-5 Duke in a conference with 17 teams. There is something fundamentally wrong with that. I think the natural progression for college football will be for the Big Ten and the SEC to eat up the rest of the conferences and just create 2. It'll just be like the AFC and NFC because it's pretty clear they just want to compete with the NFL. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. If you want to watch the NFL for its professionalism, you do that. You watch college football because it's a different culture, man. It's different. Why are you trying to create the same thing? It was so successful for a reason. There's a reason why it took the NFL until the 50s for them to overtake college football as the main football league in the country. Just stick to what made the sport so great. I like to say I'm very progressive and I care a lot about people just being able to express themselves and just live their life freely. But when it comes to sports, I'm very traditionalist and just preserving the way things are. Just keep things the way they are, man. What gives you the right to think that you have power to change the sport? Like, honestly, your entire existence means nothing And you want to sit in here and be like, yeah, let's create these conferences. Let's join the Big Ten. Let's go to the SEC. Let's expand the playoffs just because I think I am that much better than anyone else. Like, you really think you have that much importance over everybody else? I don't even know why I'm trying to talk to them directly as if they're going to watch this. They don't care. They don't have any care for anything, obviously. It's pretty clear. They just care about money. It's such a boring life to live. Yeah, I'm not really sure where this rambling is leading me to. I kind of just had a lot of things to say because I've been very frustrated with the way this season has been heading. Yeah, I can't wait to see how the playoffs go. And I'm sure after the whole season is settled, none of this stuff will matter and we'll just start it again next year. It's just a cycle of college football where fans just over complain and over exaggerate that their team is not going to do anything. But it's okay. We always have next year, am I right, guys? Alright, look, I don't really want to be the most cynical person and say college football is dead. I feel like it died a while ago, but I really don't like the direction it's taking here. It really hurts my soul. I want to sit here and say I'm a historian for the sport. I love the history. I love all these programs, and sure, there's a lot of horrible things that this sport has done that should not be forgotten. And that's more of a byproduct of this country than necessarily the sport itself and the NCAA. I feel like everything about the sport, all the good and the bad from the 20th century or even the 19th century, there's a lot of interesting things there. And I feel like it's the only thing that comes from this country that actually makes me happy to say I'm from here. Because I've seen a lot of videos of Europeans watching college football and they're just so confused, and I'm like, hell yeah, you would never understand. A lot of people here don't have a professional team in their city, so the best they have is like Nebraska or Iowa State or whatever, you know, or even just like a North Dakota. Like, what else do you want them to do? And a lot of these people went to these schools and they have an actual emotional connection, not just from their experiences going there, but just going to the games and tailgating and being indoctrinated into the fan base. You can't take that away from people. And these people in charge are just trying to destroy everything. They don't care about anyone besides themselves. So sad. It's over. Okay, I don't want to be the biggest downer. It probably is over, but look, I'm still going to keep on watching because there's still a lot of things I like about it. I still like watching the actual product on the field. I like it way more than the NFL. And there's still a lot of stuff that happened this year that I thought was pretty awesome. Like Indiana, they just won the Big Ten, which is pretty cool. It's been like over 90 years since they won an outright conference title. And that's pretty awesome to see, especially with them being the most losing program. You don't really see that type of stuff in a lot of other sports. I feel like for me, I look at the sport like a story, and all these teams, programs, players, and coaches are telling their own stories. And if you look at the history of Indiana and what it's led up until this point, it's very beautiful to see. It's like a 150-year story. And we have like the ACC. Like, I know a lot of people shit on the ACC super mega hard. This year's ACC has been one of the most absurd things ever. And I mentioned earlier with a 7-5 team being in the title game, but everything else about the season has just been so funny to me. Just everybody beating each other up and just how inconsistent the conference has been. It's been really fun to watch. And I am a sicko, as they like to call them on the internet, so I like seeing all that chaos and just everything falling apart. Not very good for the ACC though. We'll come back to this in 7 years when it all falls apart. This is probably just the root of it all. Probably not. Alright, that's enough rambling for me. I mean, I can go on forever, but I don't actually think anyone's going to be watching this. But if you did actually stick through all this, thank you. That means a lot. I just hope that the playoffs actually turn out to be amazing. But if not, oh well. I guess just how the sport is. Bye-bye. That's enough for me. Good night. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.